Hello, it's me, and right on the heels of having done our Gigaminx, this guy over here, we might as well do the tetrahedral version of that, the cube version of that, which is the Gigahexaminx. This is much like the Hexaminx, which is the cubic version of this, the Megaminx, as demonstrated by this over here. This is a circle Megaminx, modified by I think a Jupiter and a Mercury Megaminx to make all sides circle. Anyway, so this became a super Megaminx, so to speak. This is a super Megaminx also, to be honest with you. But this is because it's a shape mod and shapeshifter. But that's not what you're here to see. You're here to see this guy over here. Pretty one-of-a-kind, unique puzzle. This was made by Binter, Cube Dude 76. You can see him over at Shapeways, although I don't know that this is, I don't think this is offered at Shapeways. So this, I believe, I got auctioned from eBay. In any case, it is the 5-layer version of this. As you can see the similarities here. You can turn about one layer here, and then you can turn about the other layer over here, which is on the same face. The turning is actually very good compared with this. You can see this over here. This is from Trapum, and this has both sides over here. And just like this, it shapeshifts. The difference here is that it's very difficult to keep your perspective with this guy. So looking at the organization here, here's the center. And these are center pieces over here. This is a pair of edges. So remember how we had different pairs of edges? You had these two and this. You've got the one little arrow piece, and then you've got the rectangular pieces over here. It's pretty symmetric everywhere, but this being a super dodecahedron, I guess, isn't like that. So you've got a series over here, 3 over here, corner, then edge, edge, edge. Now this is the same piece as this. It might be hard to see, but it almost looks like there's 2 different pieces. This is connected by one long strand over here. So corner, edge, 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 corner, and then you have edge, edge, edge. So these are 3 edge pieces here. Corner, edge, 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 corner, edge, 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 corner, and then all the way around. And the rest are center pieces. So if we can keep that in mind, we can coordinate the scramble. So you sort of have to pay attention. As long as you figure out where your corners are, you can maybe get some orientation. But your center pieces are going to start looking a lot like your edges. And every time I do this, there's a little bit of a learning curve that has to happen. See what happens if I just slice this here and try to shapeshift. So you can see I can shapeshift through here and here. So this is going to scramble. Very interesting. See, this almost looks like it wants to come out, but the puzzle is actually very stable. We'll do some more shape-shifting moves here. And very quickly, you're going to find yourself in very strange and bizarre positions. You can see how smooth the movement is. I don't think I even lubricated this puzzle too much. So I'm going to shape-shift this over here. I'm at the point now where if I'm not careful, I'm going to forget what sides are what, and I'll have to struggle as I try to find things. So here's my center. I'm going to turn this. I know that, wow, this is an edge here. I'm just going to turn this around until another edge comes in contact. Like this. And well, let's see. Now, if I'm not careful, and if I try to turn it and it's not ready, I might pop a piece out. But again, this puzzle is very stable, and I've really not had pieces pop out. But now I'm intersecting different layers, so it's just a matter of finding the best way to turn it. So you can see that this wants to turn here. Aha! Like I say, with every puzzle like this, there's certainly a learning curve. And that learning curve involves just kind of playing with it for a little while. And just when you become an expert at it, you move on. Anyway, this guy can move freely over here. This is a side here, and I'm going to see if I can't find my way to moving that side. There's a divot in here. Deep in there is a piece, but it's lost in there. I mean, it's where it should be, but it's lost deep inside. Now, how is this guy going to move? So I can see that this is surrounded by other centerpieces, just all skewed around. And as I recall with this puzzle, we're going to find that it's actually going to be hard to find pieces at times because they get buried. See, now, once you line it up, it moves really, really freely. really well. And after a while, you kind of get an intuitive feel for which sides are which. So I'm just going through more of the scramble here so that you get a good feel for this puzzle. I can only imagine what a terahexaminx would be like. So it's got a very good intuitive sense here, turning here. So we're not even scrambled the way that I want to be completely yet. So I'm going to go ahead and keep going. And again, here's an example of a side now. So here's the center. These are center pieces here, 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 here. So these are all center pieces. And these are edge pieces. Here's a corner sticking out over here. This puzzle is a tough one to solve, mostly because of getting perspectives. Each piece is different. There's not too many equivalencies to very many of these pieces. So, alright, I'm going to come back with a fully scrambled Gigahexaminx. Abracadabra. Okay, oh my gosh, what have I done? So this is your classic Gigahexaminx scramble. So I actually did have to kind of familiarize myself with this as I was doing it. Now, it's not as though the solving this is much different from this. The difference is perspective and knowing how to scramble it or how to move it. So what I had to do is I had to just bear in mind what my sides are. Otherwise, things will kind of lock up. So if I wanted to move it and then move it again, I would just kind of orient corners. So here's a corner. So just keep moving it until another corner occupies the same spot, which is this. Then if I wanted to move the inner area here, I do it until this corner comes into place. So if this corner's over here, I'll just move this until this corner's in place over here. And hopefully that'll work. But in any case, this is a side. As you can see, here's the center. Here are the center edges over here, some of which are buried in here, so you can't even see them. Center edge, center edge, center edge, center edge. Then you've got corner, 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 corner. And this is just the next layer, which is this over here. And then just beyond that, you've got your pair of edges. So here's a corner, edge, edge, and buried deep in here is another edge. And there's somewhere, I think, corner, edge, 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 corner, edge, I don't know, edge. There's kind of an edge in here and corner. So that's what makes this very challenging. So this is actually all lined up correctly. It's just it's hard to really, keep your perspective with this. So given this, the solve is going to be pretty much the same technique as with the Gigaminx. So let's see how we can work our way through it. As we start getting sides, it's going to become more and more apparent where things are. So I'm going to just start putting in centers. So where's the red center over here? I see this red piece here. This probably belongs over here. So I'm going to see if I can't move this out. I'd love to put a corner piece in if I can find it. And it's quite possible that it's buried somewhere. So I need to find things that are just to the side. So I have this guy over here, and I'm wondering if this guy comes in between here. So let's see if that can't orient itself like that. So I'm going to move this. Let's see if we're onto something here. Again, I'm dealing with these two reds. I hope you can see it. If not, take my word for it, it's there. And now this is going to try to slide into here. And bang. Okay, so this obviously isn't oriented correct, which makes me wonder if it belongs over here. So I'm actually going to move it one past. Let's go ahead and turn this. Like I said, the movement is actually quite smooth. And here. Okay, so I like where this is, and this obviously belongs over here. So that's pretty good. Now it would be nice if I could find the red piece that belongs over here. Okay, so I'm trying to find ones that surround this red here. Might as well find one that's supposed to be here. Obviously it's not this one. So let's find another one. How about this guy over here? Something that can dive into here. So what I'm going to do first is turn this and see if it's something that'll make its way in here. Turn this in the right place and see if we can't shimmy it in. It's going to bump this out for a second, but that's okay. Okay, does it work? And yeah, that looks pretty good over here. So I have to coordinate it with this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this in like so. Move this back to get these guys out of the way. Now I'm going to move it in. And I'm going to move this back. Okay. Luckily, from a strategic standpoint, getting this first center in is really not a huge problem, but it really is going to help coordinate things. So now what goes here? It's going to be another small guy like this. Now I'm wondering, because right next to the edge is going to be the middle corner, which might be this guy. So let's move this in and see if maybe that's right. So move this here, and you can see this lines up here pretty well too. So before I do that, maybe what I should do is I should put in, well, it doesn't matter. We'll find the other small little triangle here. Maybe this. So I'm going to move this over to here. And let's see if this actually makes it into this guy here. And yes, so this is okay over here. So what I'm going to do is bump this out of the way, like so. Now notice I ended up moving this, so I got to be careful. Move this in, and I'll move these guys back. So really, I'm not doing anything different than I did here. It's just a matter of lining things up. So now I've got this center almost done. I need to find another piece that looks like this, but is red. This maybe? No, this is actually an edge piece, not an edge center piece, but an actual true edge. All right, so here's this. This is a contender to end up over here. So let's whip this around. Again, I'm still trying to coordinate things with the center. Any small movements and I might get lost. But that's the challenge of this puzzle. Okay, I'm going to slide this in and see if it can make its way over to here. And now we shall see. 1, 2. So you can see this doesn't fit. 1, 2. How about this guy? This is a contender over here. So what I'm going to want to do is move it around. Now, does this belong here? Let's move the center over here and see if it does. There we go, I think. Anyway, move it in and yeah, so that looks good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move these out down to here. So move it to another center. And I'm going to coordinate this with this over here. So turn it like so, I think. Yeah, like this. I know that this center coordinates with that, so that's okay. And now turn this over to here and move this into here. So you can see this fits into here nicely. Now it's just a matter of turning this back. So turn. I'm amazed at the craftsmanship, at just the design that someone can come up with something like this. Okay. So you can see this center is coming in nicely. I just need to get these corner pieces out, these corner center pieces out, and put the right ones in. All right, then line this up over here so these two match. And now turn it and turn it. Okay, so you can see this is in now. Now there's one more. All right, so I think we have these lined up here now. So we move it in, and there it is. So we've got our first center. After much ado and much trials and tribulations, we've got our first center. Now, my suggestion at this point is to move on to the other red, only because it's going to be easier to find everything, because all of these are in, so it's not going to be too hard to find those. Here, so it can come in through this long axis. And 1, 2, and there it is. Okay. So what seemed impossible is actually now coming together fairly well. So now I just have a 1x3 bar. So let's find the reds wherever they may be and start matching them up. So I'm going to pick it up here with just 3 centers left. So you can see that I've got much of these centers already in here with the techniques of a Gigaminx with a little bit of a twist, but not so much, just in terms of orientation. What I have left is I've got this, and I've got this, and I've got this over here. So I'm going to let the last two be the same color, just so that I can make use of the notion of equivalencies potentially, because this is the last two centers of a supercuboid, which is not anything like you've seen before with any other puzzles of this magnitude. But in any case, I've got these two that are already in, so I'm going to find the area that this goes to with this green guy over here. Now, it's also easier to get something of a perspective here. Let's fold this back over here. So as you can see, this is a center. You've got these centerpieces that surround it, centerpieces that surround it. They aren't surrounding the right centerpiece, but you can see that they are indeed centerpieces. Then you've got edges. You've got 3 edges over here, 3 edges over here, so it's all still jumbled up. But in any case, let's start moving these guys around and see what we can do. So does this belong here? Well, these two are going to belong on this side here, so we have to find our way to moving this. And now that I have a perspective, the more centers I get, the easier it is to figure out where things are supposed to be and where things are supposed to move. So I know this lines up with this over here, and let's see if this belongs here, and yeah, so that's okay over here. So turn, I'm actually going to blast this one out because I'm not ready for that to be in yet. It's only going to cause trouble. And here. So the goal was to put one edge in and then start filling things in afterwards. I know this is supposed to come over here, but let's line it up with the proper edge over here as well, which is going to be this guy here. And place it here. So this belongs over here. Once I have that here, go ahead and turn this. So this is a side. Hope you can see that okay, but this is a interesting form for a side like this. And then of course we turn it back. It's not the right side, it's not put in right, but it's a side nonetheless. So now this can take its rightful place over here. So this is certainly a skewing of perspectives. And bring this in so you can see this belongs over here. Again, this is exactly the same strategy as used with the Gigaminx. And we'll move this up here. Okay, now that I've done that, I'm ready to move on with this over here. It should be easy to find what's needed. See what piece goes down to here. And I've got this green over here, which is hidden. Still having a problem with hidden pieces. Again, adds to the challenge / frustration, however you look at it. Move this in, and this obviously doesn't go here. So we are going to move this one around and see if it'll find a home over here. So turn this here, and yes, so this is good, but I'm going to find the other green corner that binds with this first so that it's easier to put in. And that corner is going to look like this, a trapezoidal piece, much like one of these two, which just so happen to be at the same side, so we're going to have to move this out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be using this center as the juxtaposition between those two, the place where I move things out from. So let's just move it out, and then we'll turn, and then move this guy out over here. Okay, now notice I put this one in here, and this looks like it belongs over there. So maybe this one can work instead, just by happenstance. So I'll move this into position here. And move this in, see what happens. I gotta be careful. There we go. Yep, so that actually works. Fortuitous accident. Turn this around, find my way to lining it up. Now, believe it or not, this really doesn't catch that often. Not as much as you might think for a piece that's so complicated. There's a lot of little moving parts with this. Such brilliance of design by this maker, it's amazing. Now let's see how this is supposed to be positioned over here. So this big green one that comes in here is hidden deep within here. And just to prove that it's there and it works, there it is. Okay, so wherever this is, the next piece has to come on this side. So let's see if I can make that work. I know there's a green one hidden under here, and there's this green one as well. So let's try this one. Does this one belong on this side of things? Well, let's move it in and find out. Now, it's a little hard to visualize these things, and that's why it's a little hard to explain it. But honestly, I'm not even sure if I see it myself. Okay, there it is. It's right in there. And I think it's lined up right. Can't be too sure. But I'm going to find out soon enough because I'm going to move it in. Yeah, there it is. I don't know if you can see that. Okay, there it is. We're going to put this in place here. All the while checking myself, making sure I didn't mess anything up as I'm apt to do. Move it in. Looks good. Double turn this over here. Not even double turn it. Make sure this is lined up correctly and move it back. So I now have a 1x3 bar to get over here, which is going to be easy for me because I just look for all the green ones. So at this point, I don't have to worry about how things are going to line up. Well, not quite like that anyway. So make sure this is lined up. This corner piece goes with this, much like this would have. And see if we can't move this in. Move it in. Lines up nice. Make sure it's lined up. Bump it out of the way and move this back. Any other greens here? Rogue greens. Now what's buried under here? Do I actually have the green one already there? Yep, I take a peek and there it is. Okay, so quite simply, this has to move in. Bump it out of the way. Now I've got to line it up with this guy over here. Move this in. Okay, turn this up. Double turn and bring this down. So we've got this. We've got this center over here. Now we're down to the last two centers, and I purposely made it to where the last two centers are the same color, in this case orange.